and welcome back to the Review of Death, a Doctor Who podcast and your fortnightly home for Doctor Who news and reviews. I, as always, am Matthew Toffolo. I'm joined, as ever, by Billy Garratt-John. How are you doing, Billy?
I'm all right, thank you very much. I've recovered to an adequate amount to break down what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But or today,
was it?
If
was
you
it? I was
just
going to
watched
say,
the broadcast.
it's yesterday for you, isn't it? It's so weird.
Yes.
So
yesterday morning.
We were this close to staying up till midnight to watch it.
Whoa, you dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, and he was like, "I'm really tired," and I was like, I was feeling it as well. And I thought, "Oh, go on, let's just go to bed." And then we watched it, and then we were like, "Oh yeah, we did. we would have been going to bed very, very late, very cross."
Think about all those people that stayed up and drove somewhere and sat in a cold room with a bunch of strangers, and then had to drive back home.
I know. I'd have been out into the foyer saying, "I'd like to talk to the manager and get a refund, please." You do that? Is that allowed? Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, we should very, very quickly, just because I think it's disappeared from the super chat thing, just acknowledge a message we got from Dalek Seth. Thank you very much for the £10, Dalek Seth.
Oh,
hi, guys. Enjoyed the first 25 minutes. Ending WTF. Great effects. Why does Sutekh need to keep dry humping the TARDIS? Also, I want to see Susan Triad as a Dalek. You never know. I mean,
yeah.
As we found out, she's everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, by the law of
everywhere
averages,
the Doctor's ever been.
Yeah, she's on there at least either a couple of times or like a bit more of a supercharged Susan Triad exists on Skaro and Telos.
Yes,
that got
Telos.
mentioned. And
Yes.
Khan. Any planet
Khan.
that the Doctor has gone to multiple times, you get a bit of a stronger Susan Triad on that planet.
Yes. No.
I've worked it out. I've worked out what she is on Skaro.
Who?
There's two of her. It's Davros's left leg and Davros's right leg.
That's why we didn't.
And that sorts out the whole Destination Skaro thing. There we are, sorted.
That's where they came from. Okay.
That's where they came from. Yeah.
Got it. Beautiful.
They've got sentience of their own.
Vortex J, Millie Gibson seems to have celebrated her birthday in Bristol this week. Apologies, Billy. Yeah. So
what?
You think it's the Forsyth Saga filming?
Well, yes. So they were filming outside of our office in Queen Square, but it wasn't Forsyth Saga. It was an Agatha Christie thing, Agatha Christie movie, and it was really weird because I left the office on Friday and I literally walked into a film set. There was people in costume and old-fashioned cars going by, and I was like,
"Am I having a stroke?"
Yeah. It's like I'm either traveling back in time or I'm in a film.
I love that. I have to ask as well. So, obviously we had Pyramids of Mars, which we'll come to in a bit. Don't know if you want to do that first or second.
Let's do it second. We'll do it later.
Yeah. Okay. We can at least come back up. Yeah. Do you think that we'll get a load of George Lucas re-edits now where Susan Triad just appears in the background of episodes?
I mean, anything goes with this program now.
Yeah, I hope so.
Just her.
But of course, Macra asks the most important question: did she go to Pop World? I would assume so. I would have assumed that 15 and Ruby would have popped around to Pop World at some point in the last year.
Yeah, they should have done, shouldn't they? Really.
I hope so.
Right. How do we sound? Do we sound all right? Can everybody hear us because we've got a lot to unpack here with this one. I feel like we've got a lot to say. So before we get right into it, let's just see, can everyone understand what we're saying? Do we sound okay? Audio levels good? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
That's a great line from that Bond movie. What is that? Is that the man with the golden gun? He's got he's at the place that makes Scaramanga's golden bullets.
Oh yes,
for him, he turns the pistol round and aims it at the dude's crotch and says, "Speak now or forever hold your peace." It's absolutely beautiful. Perfect audio. We like it. All right,
fantastic.
Then.
Right,
Let's
all good.
Into it.
We've got a big one. We've got a big one come in from
you do it.
Dr. Q96, who says mixed feelings on the season as a whole. All I can think about is how Sutekh must have been freaking out during the climax of Day of the Doctor, Well, that's...
What? Because he was meeting himself constantly.
Yeah. And then we've got another one coming in from the Celestial Toy Gazer, who says, if nothing else, I've now seen Pyramids of Mars via Tales of the TARDIS and have a hankering for the Priory figure set. Ooh. It's a good one. It's a good set.
Is that hard to get a hold of these days?
Yeah.
I mean, they all are, aren't they?
They all are now, yeah.
Yeah, even more absent from Doctor Who's, even more absent from store shelves than all of the merch for this run will be.
Yeah, definitely. Here he is. He's here from that set. Straddling the TARDIS with a dog lead attached to him because, you know, because
that's how we treat our villains. Right, so let's... this is going to be a run through like we did last week because there's so much to talk about and it's a big stream of consciousness. So we'll just, stop me whenever we hit a point that needs fleshing out, Matt. We begin with a very svelte recap, about 15 seconds, just re-showing the last 10 seconds of the previous episode.
It felt very old Doctor Who, that.
Very, very old school Doctor Who. And then straight into the credits, and then we get the resolution, which is Mel just pulling the Doctor back off the stage. Susan Triad brings Sutekh's dust of death, which didn't sound as cool as it looked on the page. I don't think.
No, every time she said it, I was like, it doesn't quite have the ring. I mean, I don't know why maybe she didn't just say, "I bring Sutekh's gift of death." I mean, we get what it is.
I bring Sutekh's gift of lint. I bring Sutekh's detritus of death. But units open fire. Sands of death. But then
that could be the name of the story.
Dust. Can you imagine if in that Disney Plus trailer, instead of saying sand, it just said dust?
Dust.
That would have maybe
not
given
dust.
the game away. Dust.
Every toy collector's greatest enemy, dust.
Dust. Maybe this is where it all comes from. Russell just looked on his cabinet and he saw his Sutekh gathering dust and thought, I don't mind that. That'd be good. Unit open fire on Sutekh. I loved Morris's machine gun tricked out segue.
Yeah.
Straight out of fucking Grand Theft Auto 5. That was absolutely brilliant.
I mean, Unit seems to be all over the place, don't they, in this new era? Hiring children to do this work. Giving them live round firearms as well. I mean, what's going on?
One of them wasn't. I don't know if that's because they can't trust her with it. But
Rose is bored. I've got in my notes.
Rose is playing Candy Crush on a tablet.
What's the ninja one with the fruit, with the swiping one?
Fruit Ninja. Yeah, Fruit absolutely. Ninja.
Dear.
But Morris is supposed to be 13. Like Rose is a couple of years older than him. I know he's like a super child or whatever, but he couldn't give Rose a gun.
She just felt like she was totally oblivious to what was happening in the whole situation. The great big bloody dog there, love. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, I've nearly beaten this level. Give me 2 secs.
Yeah. I'd love to know what the direction was there. Why did no one turn around and say, "Can you at least look like scared or like hide behind this desk or something?"
No. And also the way, because obviously then the dust of Sutekh comes through the unit's HQ and Thanos snaps everybody into oblivion. Yeah. And obviously Kate Stewart gets the last line, which is basically Capaldi's I hoped there'd be stars, thing.
It's a bit weird that about the birds.
Everybody in the background, particularly Morris and Rose, gets obliterated, but I didn't actually clock that on first viewing because they're not really the center of attention. No. They just sort of die in the background with very little fanfare.
So I mean, literally the second we saw that happen, I mean, I think it was pretty clear that they were all going to get wasted by the dust of death. But we all went, so it's going to be one of these finales where everything's reversed and time is back to normal, like it never happened.
It was the volume of people that died, wasn't it? It was Kate, Carla, Rose, Morris, Cherry, Mrs. Flood, all those characters just Thanos snapped. And you're like, okay. As soon as Carla died, I was like, okay, well, they're all coming back, so this is whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Suddenly you're like, this is slightly pointless.
Yeah. Can we just skip to the end now? Desktop Productions like, thank you for the $4.99. RTD did another non-reveal with Ruby's mum, like with Tennant's face returning after the season. I really feel he's developed an ego as a writer. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but I certainly think that there are more unresolved things than we would like, obviously. Jake, thank you very much for the £15. That's very generous.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Hey lads, I want to say thank you for the pods over the weeks. It's been a pleasure tuning in. Don't forget, Johnny, spend it as you will, $5 each. You could get Sutekh's mask or can of Thatcher's Sutekh's can of fermented apple juice. Are you going to get a Sutekh mask now?
Yes.
Or does it hurt so much?
No. That story is still untouched. That story is still good. So
good.
We were talking about this earlier on, about the redesign of Sutekh, and we sort of said maybe it was a good thing that they made him so drastically different visually in this new episode compared to his old episode, because it then kind of it makes the disconnect slightly broader, so you don't. I'm not going to keep watching Pyramids of Mars and think, he's going to get turned into a big doggy and dragged through the time vortex. I mean, I will think that for a while, but sooner or later, this will be exorcised from my brain.
Yeah, just treat this as the therapy session. We'll work you through it. It's fine.
I'm going to go to mass tomorrow and see if the priest can take it from my brain.
So Sutekh's dust of death envelops London.
Yeah.
Mrs. Flood has that scene with Cherry, which was bonkers. She will storm down the gates of Cherry's maker and claim their kingdom in thy true name. And before she gets dusted, she said, I had such plans.
Yeah.
And then, that. So what was that all about?
Well, this is it. We were discussing this earlier on. We were like, well, does this mean that she too is one of the pantheon? Because the way that she talks about overthrowing God himself makes it sound like she herself is a godlike being. So who knows? I mean, my initial thoughts last week was, she's a Time Lord, but maybe not. Maybe she's something else. God of fourth wall breaking.
God of fourth wall breaking. I mean, I think the trickster is probably up there. I mean, obviously she has eyes, which doesn't totally square that circle, but it's I don't know. I don't care. Marley J, thank you for the £5. I'm surprised they used the dog thing the whole time. I would have let them borrow my Sutekh mask if they asked. Wow. We would have liked to have seen that.
We would have done. Thank you, Marley.
So meanwhile, the Doctor and Mel race through the streets of London to make it back to the time window.
Yeah.
Ruby asks, why can't I see my mom? And the Doctor tells her, there's actually an A plot we're trying to deal with here. So let me deal with one thing at a time, please.
We go back to that Ricky Gervais thing, the David Brent thing from last week, where I said, it's like David Brent talking about Lenny Henry and Dawn French saying, you haven't done the washing up. He's like, do it yourself, woman. I got to save some Africans. But in this case, it's fuck your mother. I've got to sort out the planet.
I've got to have a confrontation with Sutekh. What did we think of that? That one-on-one with Scrappy Doo.
Great. I mean, I like that. So far, we're at this point in the story. So far, I'm enjoying it, and I'm like, this is good. This is all right. This isn't too bad. I'm on board with this. And then, like you said, we got some nice dialogue with Sutekh and the Doctor. Yeah.
What do you think of Suits?
I mean, it's Gabriel Wolf, isn't it? He's the devil. He knows what he's doing. You give him a script.
Knows what he's doing.
He makes everything sound good. So
he does.
He was fine. No notes to Gabriel Wolf.
No notes.
No notes
Absolutely
to Gabriel Wolf. And I gotta say, I mean, we'll talk about the rest of the story. The performances were really good in this episode.
Yes.
On the whole, Bonnie Langford, fair play to her. She was really good. She gave a lot to Mel that she wasn't able to give to Mel back in the 80s. So that was good. It was just, unfortunately, everything else. And like visually, it looked amazing. It was just the script really that let this one down.
Well, you flag when it happens, when the switch to, oh, I don't know now,
Yeah.
whenever that happens, you know.
Yeah.
We get a lot more of that kind of quite nice dialogue of if time is a memory, then memory is a time machine, and all of that. I do have to ask though, does this mean there are 3 TARDISes in London in that moment? The 2 at Unit HQ. There's one in the remembered. There's a remembered one. There's the one that Sutekh's holding on to, and then there's one in Donna Noble's back garden.
I guess so. And how many Sutekhs are there? Did Sutekh get split in 2 when he smacked the TARDIS with a hammer? Why not?
Must have.
Why
Must
not?
have.
Russell has said that Sutekh will not be coming back and that he is officially dead. But hey, this is Doctor Who. Anything could happen. I'm just waiting for someone else to turn around and say, "Nah, there's Sutekh's twin on the bloody other TARDIS."
I was just about to say then, Russell also said it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. And yeah. We see
a Typhonian turd, I think. Is
Typhonian turd. That's my
perfect. My review of it.
We see scenes from Pyramids of Mars on a TV screen the Doctor is carrying.
Not enjoying this story? Go and watch this one. It's on BBC iPlayer.
Yeah.
A lot better.
Yeah, go on then. Why not? And it did actually make me remember. Oh, yeah, of course that's out. So I managed to squeeze that in last night as well. I managed to watch that. So Sutekh explains that he's been latched onto the Doctor's TARDIS since Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay. But like I put that joke tweet out with the scene from It's Always Sunny with Charlie and Mac looking at each other across the restaurant, and I got so many people who, you know, seem unable to view things as a joke, saying it wasn't on the first Doctor's TARDIS because it was the shot from Twice Upon a Time.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but also if we're going to be pedantic about it, that model that he latches himself onto in the vortex is not Tom Baker's Bukaki box.
No.
So let's, you know, if we're going to split hairs about this, which is what sort of confused me, because I was like, when did it happen? But yeah, so I guess it's after Pyramids.
It's after Pyramids. So I mean, it does make you wonder the more you sort of think about it. And I've seen lots of people on Twitter bringing this up, like all the occasions where how did this go unnoticed? You know, like when the TARDIS becomes Idris in The Doctor's Wife, why doesn't she go, I got this great big dog dry humping me? It's really, really getting on my nerves. Can you do something about that? Or, you know, all the times you went to Gallifrey, the Time Lords never went, your TARDIS seems a bit weird. What's going on here?
Yeah, I know.
And you know, I would happily buy the fact that, you know, Sutekh is so powerful that he managed to cloak himself and so no one could notice it. But the fact that he then later on gets defeated by a dog lead kind of, you know, that throws all that idea in the bin, because he's like, well, he's not clearly not that powerful then, is he? But, you know, I digress. So it does seem weird. And obviously the one thing that was the goofiest visual was Sutekh wrapped around the TARDIS going whee,
spinning
in the vortex. That was laughable. Like, you know,
I heard it did elicit laughs in screenings.
Well, of course. How could it not? And I mean, I am all for the idea of, you know, Sutekh has become one with the TARDIS in some capacity. You know, you could have just shown the TARDIS flying through the vortex. It could have glowed green like Sutekh's glow, or Sutekh's eyes in the vortex to show that he had some sort of power over the TARDIS. Not that he'd become a big dog and then was just literally going round and round and round thinking, bloody hell, I feel sick as a dog. And look, Vince Pavey, how did the TARDIS go through Gallifrey and the Time War? Like, the Time War of all things. How did it get through that?
How was he not shot off by Dalek sources and all of that?
How did the Daleks not pick it up with their technology? You know, they picked up stuff like Rose being Bad Wolf. Why were they not like, Doctor, you have a big dog on your TARDIS? That's a Big Finish box set.
the TARDIS spinning towards those missiles in Parting of the Ways. It's like, I've got a fucking headache now. Ow. Funmaster, thanks for the 199. Thank you for the 199. Hated first, love now. Cinema helped. So that's interesting. Sam Riddle as well. Drugs, they would have. Next time I have a long journey on a bus, I'm going to think of Sutekh. Guy didn't complain once about traveling. What a gent. I did love the idea of Sutekh's angels of death being dispersed through time and seeing her spread the dust. And that was great.
Yeah.
I did find it quite funny, though. The Doctor makes a big deal of saying, is there anywhere in the universe that hasn't been touched by this? Because I've been everywhere, and it's like, no, there's probably places where
this hasn't got there,
you know, because you always ask, where next? Let's go somewhere new. Let's try somewhere different. When it talks to a companion, I'm fairly certain we would have been able to find somewhere, but alas.
No. Sam Riddle has left us a little gift. He says next time. Oh no, you've read that one. I'm an idiot.
I read that one.
You read that one.
That's
Sorry,
fine.
I'm a lunatic. Never mind.
Sutekh chose the name Susan because of Susan Foreman. She was the trap. But why did it come to a head here on Earth at this time in history? Like, what was the importance of then and now? Like, what was triad technology all about?
Who knows? I think, wasn't it just because he'd gone to Earth so many times, so Susan Triad was like a super version of herself, and so that was like the prime place. I don't know.
But hang on,
it's all wishy-washy.
When he lands, a new Susan is generated.
Yeah.
Which means there must be
loads of Susans. Yeah,
thousands of Susans rather than just the one that keeps.
Oh yeah, and
becoming stronger.
We've seen him travel through time, and we've seen the different versions of in different time zones. So I don't know why are we even bothering trying to make sense of this?
There'll be lots of questions like this, Matt. Don't you worry.
But you know what Russell's answer will be? He'll literally be like, "Don't think about it."
I know. But you're a Doctor Who fan, Russell. Like, Anyway, Mel.
Well, you say that he couldn't even work out the bloody background for the Osirans. You got all that wrong.
All of that. Yeah, we've got that to come to. So I like the bit where they go into the remembered TARDIS and Mel clings to Sixie's cravat and coat. That was nice.
Lovely moment. I loved the little screen, the little CRT iPad. I thought that was great. I want one of those. They're cool. All
Mel
that stuff was
cozying
nice.
up with the pullover as well. That was nice.
Yeah, really lovely. I mean, there were some lovely moments. There were some lovely fan servicey moments.
Yes.
The plot, that was not a fan servicey moment at all.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? Because we've said before, like, when Russell brought the show back, there was a real concerted effort to not get bogged down by continuity.
Yeah.
And this one is saying basically that there is a nice Redux George Lucas version of this story, if you want to watch it, available, that will help fill in a couple of gaps in terms of how important this character is.
Yeah.
Which does seem counter to not only the way that Russell has typically done things, but if you're trying to launch this, on Disney Plus into a new audience, how accessible is the back catalogue for the Americans or anywhere else in the world apart from the UK, which doesn't seem to be the focus for,
No, for a lot of the press
program,
and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Someone just pointed out here, Vortex J said, TV movie TARDIS cameo. Yeah, we had all the clips of different TARDIS landings, and I was surprised to see the TV movie among them.
And 1999 got referenced specifically.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Which was nice.
Yeah. He also mentioned 1066, but he'd been to 1066 before he met Sutekh, so he clearly got that one wrong.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing that I don't quite understand.
Maybe he went back. Maybe he went back to 1066. Unseen story.
Yeah. Surely as well, like, so Sutekh, the time factor of 2 minutes. Sutekh gets flung through the vortex.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't necessarily mean that he clung on to that TARDIS as soon as they left the Priory, because he's already off.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just another TARDIS that he latched onto.
Yeah.
You know, because they go to a real effort of showing all those different police box props.
Yeah.
And like why that's like a real fan thing of going, you'd have to be able to identify police box props to realize that it's not from that story that we are now seeing Sutekh clinging to stuff. Because like it's only if you know what the police box props look like that you would realize that.
Yeah.
And not just assume he's been there from the start.
It's daft, isn't it? I mean, like they literally had the open for all this to be like, well, you know, all that Wild Blue Yonder stuff. Maybe he, at the end of the universe, he found the TARDIS and he clung on to him then. You know, I know people keep bringing up the salt shit. I'm sick of the bloody salt excuse these days. There's a lot of excuses at the moment. There's salt and I made a mockery of your history, Doctor. What did you think of that, yeah? You know, all that stuff. It's like, oh, that's the bloody cop-out theory. But, it would have made more sense than, oh yeah, Sutekh's been clinging on like, some bloody space STD.
Sorry, it took me a second to realise what
you said. Space herpes, you can't shake.
Charlie Ashby, thanks for the $9.99. Great chat, guys. I enjoyed this episode, but more importantly, the finale made my little brother, 7, get into the show and even watch Pyramids of Mars, so I'm grateful for that. Well, if there's one thing that's come out of it, I'm glad it's that, Charlie.
I'm glad he came out and thought, let's watch a good Doctor Who story instead.
Yeah, or that he wanted to ever watch Doctor Who again. That's nice.
That's quite amazing.
Did you notice the 2 little Jodie references in the TARDIS?
In the memory TARDIS?
Yeah.
Her sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, Mel waves that around. And there's also...
Keep that for later.
I thought exactly the same thing.
I think Annie said it, actually.
Interesting she's decided to pull that one out specifically, but all right.
Yeah.
And then...
Shooty goes looking through the drawers. I'm sure I had another one of these.
Where is that? Why is that one damp? And then... sorry. And then... Yasmin's police ID badge was also
was it
there. Yeah.
Wow, fuck. You had to be eagle-eyed to spot that one then. Crikey.
You did. You have to be a fan of this.
Of that era, yeah. Sylvester McCoy's calling card was there from Remembrance of the Daleks. That's nice little callback.
Very nice.
Harry
and to
McCohen
think that some of your stuff. Oh, go on.
Has just left us a little message saying, "Hey guys, been a rodder for ages. Still not sure how I feel about the episode, and I've seen it 3 times. My God, glutton for punishment. Enjoying the live. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much."
Thank you very much, Harry. I need to make a note to ask Johnny what he thought of the pullover.
Oh, we know what the answer is going to be.
Yeah. But you never know.
Why break the habit of a lifetime? Sorry, you were saying something about your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was a window of opportunity to maybe get some Toffolo household products or belongings on the show at one point or another.
Yeah, could have done, couldn't they? Could have had Jonathan hanging around.
You could have had a good hanky.
Good hanky
Paul
for
Haynes,
Mel.
thank you for the £5 when 15 made another TARDIS on the giggle. Sutekh must have thought, fuck, which one do I cling to? Or he's just gone, hello mate, you're right, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very odd.
What is happening anymore? I don't understand.
I've been trying to follow this guy's adventures for the last how many thousands of years, and this has baffled me. Yeah. He's watching it like a viewer, like anyone else, with his popcorn. Just going like, I don't quite understand what's happened here. Molecular bond
he's on
intelligence.
He's on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean probably.
He's gone too far now. It's become unbelievable now. It's a joke.
This is nonsense.
I could cope with someone holding onto my ass pillow, but my ass cushion. But this is too much.
This is too far. So we get a callback to the Church and Ruby Road for some reason. Yeah. Molecular bond, intelligent rope, intelligent glove. And when I saw the intelligent glove, I was like, okay, well, that'll creep back in.
Yeah.
I don't quite get what they were doing lashing that rope around the TARDIS, and is that the same one they end up using as the lead later on? The leash.
I think it's supposed to be the same one. Yeah.
Okay. The perception filter of the TARDIS is cast within a radius of 73 yards.
Yeah. That was weird. Wasn't it? That's how I felt. And then the doctor, what does the doctor say? I've written it down. He says, funny things happen at 73 yards. People say you can see things. Well, yeah, so long as your eyesight still fucking works, yeah, I should hope you could see things 73 yards away. You thinking, twat, stupid bloody thing to say. I mean, I like the idea that they were trying to do like a little, but then they almost went too far with it. They almost should have just, they should have just left it at 73 yards and been like, what did you say? How do you know that? And then we would have been like, okay. But then to carry it on, some people say you see weird old ladies doing the YMCA or the Macarena when you're at 73 yards.
Do you know what? I've recently got into Reddit. I think I scroll through all of the r/paranormal and r/ghosts, and it's brilliant because most of it.
I thought you said us paranormal.
I scroll through the r/ars. I scroll through all the daft ghost stories where it's people saying, I put my keys down and they're gone. I think, do I need to call a priest? Can somebody come over and bring some sage?
No, right? It's fucking Alzheimer's.
It's hilarious. I think I might just post the Wikipedia entry, copy and paste from 73 yards and recount that as my own ghost story, and then see if I can get some advice from people on which priest I need to call to bless my house.
Good idea.
But you're right. It's like there's a couple of things in this scene in particular where they're bringing stuff up as callbacks.
Yeah.
But it's not like I don't need things signposted to me. And I'm not saying that it's a requirement of a callback that it has to have been integral but nothing was signposted as a kind of, you need to remember that one.
Yeah.
And it's almost a shame that 73 yards, even though Ruby has no memory of it, is brought up again, because it's like that existed in its own pocket universe, and it was nice to have it isolated from everything else. We were told there's no through lines, there's no running, story arc, and it was loose. It was as loose as it could be, really.
Yeah.
Compared to other story arcs and mystery box reveals and stuff, but you can't say that there's nothing and then call back to, firstly, an episode that seemed to be totally isolated from the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that Susan Twist was in it, but also what appears to have been a deleted scene from that story involving Roger App Williams mentioning the DNA database.
Yeah, that was weird. That was very odd. We were like, why didn't you keep that in the episode originally? Because if you were going to call back to it, it would have made more. It would have had more of an impact for us to go, okay, rather than just be like, all right, sure, okay.
Of all the things to have snipped from that story, I love 73 yards, but could we have had one less Ruby looking out of her flat window at the woman and managed to get that line in, We've got a few super chats to catch up with. Lewis, my favorite visual is 13 and Yaz having an ice cream sat atop the TARDIS while Sutekh third wheels on his own.
Thank you, Lewis.
Don't mind me. Josh, thank you for the £20.
God, I could really go for an ice cream right now.
Why must you tease Sutekh? Sutekh hungry. Really liked this episode, but I specifically loved how the defeat of Sutekh was 15 finally seeing through what 4 attempted by making sure Sutekh got killed by the vortex by using the molecular tether to drag him to his end. I mean, the molecular tether versus just it being attached to the TARDIS didn't seem to like I didn't see that as being integral to what was going on, that it was the molecular bond, although we do get the reference to molecular bond in Rogue.
But
that's like saying I said and a couple of weeks ago and you just said and
and the thing is, he's a god. He's a god. He's supposed to be more powerful now than he's ever been. Surely something like that he's not bound to the physical realms of science because he's been traveling on the TARDIS. He doesn't knock it when the TARDIS falls over. We don't hear Sutekh go, "Ow," and the Doctor go, "Oh, do you hear that? Oh, that was odd."
Bollocks.
Yeah.
Sam Riddle as well for the £5. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam.
Sue's going to pop up in another 50 years and he'll go, "Hey, op, it's my daughter. If he falls for it again, I have no sympathy." I actually wouldn't mind if in like 12 years' time they get Susan Twist to just have a walk past cameo in the background of a shot, and there's just a little look over the shoulder and no, never mind.
Yeah.
And we get that every so often. That'd be fab. So we got mentions of Telos, Khan, the Ood Sphere, Skaro, and a little reference to the Daleks, obviously saying that they're all dead.
Yeah. That unseen story with Mel and the Daleks.
The unseen story with Mel and the Daleks.
I kind of wish the Doctor, when they mentioned Skaro, had kind of gone, "You can keep that one. You can have that one."
How do I make sure that stays that way?
Yeah.
Is there any way I could do that? And while I'm at it, let's do the same with Coventry and Wolverhampton. Let's make sure that stays dust as well.
Poor old Davros, he just got his legs back and now he turned to sand. Bloody poor,
I know.
Poor bugger. Can't catch a break, can he?
That was fucking great. I loved it when I had legs. That was great. The Doctor says it's all his fault.
And hair.
And hair.
And white teeth.
And beautifully varnished teeth. The Doctor says it's all his fault and he screams into the vortex. Or screams into the void, I should say.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to unit with Sutekh on high and says all this stuff about the one thing that has survived that I must know the answer to is the secret the child keeps. Why does he care?
I don't know. We were all like, why? He shouldn't give a shit. I don't really give a shit at this point, so he should give even less of a shit than I do. Very odd.
I thought it was going to be because her mum was someone, or that she was someone, and
that would have made sense.
That means that or that she's a paradox because of the events on Ruby Road or whatever it is, and all that stuff. Even I just remembered when the Doctor scans Ruby and we see it on the TARDIS scanner, like that kind of went nowhere, and it's like, okay, we're signposting something here, but what we're signposting is that she is not important or interesting at all. Which that can only go down the route of it being a disappointing reveal when you've
of course
tried to make an effort of being like, what is it about you? What is it about you?
I mean, and I like the sentiment that she's just ordinary and her mum's just ordinary and we're all important in our own way. Yeah, sure. Great sentiment. And in fact, this whole thing was written as a response to the Rey Skywalker thing in Star Wars, which is hilarious because, in Star Wars, the idea is that she's just nobody, but that the Force just chooses people at random. Anyone can be one with the Force and have these gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely sentiment. But it doesn't really work in Doctor Who world when it's just... anyone can be fucking normal. Well, obviously. But
anyone can be a nobody.
Anyone can be a nobody, so I like the sentiment, but like you said, when you're building it all up with, but snow falls around you, and I can hear this carol of the bells, and the maestro says you've got a hidden song inside your heart, and all this wank. You're like, well, surely that means that you are something more than just... feckin' Rita down the cafe who has egg and chips every feckin' Tuesday afternoon. It's insane.
Everyone's got a song inside them, Matt. What's yours?
At this point, it's the theme tune to The Omen by Jerry Goldsmith.
I was going to go Exorcist.
Or that. Either one.
A couple of super chats to catch up with here. Midwinter makes, I love the idea of House and Sutekh having a chat over a coffee while Amy and Rory run around inside the TARDIS. Harry McEwen,
he's
I
like,
love
oi,
how
this is my territory here.
I'm the only omnipotent godlike creature that can sit on this TARDIS. Fuck off. Get your own. Literally, there's another one there.
Yeah.
And I'm on that one as well. Or am I? No, that's the It's the Bukaki model. No, you can have that one.
Yeah. He's got a St. John Ambulance logo on the front, slightly faded out. Have him.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, but is that... But hang on. Is it the St. John's one on the slightly wider and darker coloured box? Fucking just get your own Time Lord to run around with. Fuck off. Harry McEwen, I love how Clara spent the whole episode walking around with Sutekh in her handbag.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened there? Was Sutekh literally the size of Gizmo?
Yeah, absolutely. And Charlie Ashby, thanks for the $4.99. Guys, you're overthinking this. Sutekh is a MILF hunter. That's it. Finally, a relatable villain. All right. All right. So then we do this whole, the Doctor goes to a dust-covered planet in a big robe and speaks to the kind woman, and Russell was like, there's a kind woman on a far-off world who has the key to saving the universe. It's like, there is a woman on a far-off world with a spoon. Doesn't sound quite as interesting as you would hope it would.
And apparently this scene almost got cut. And
I would have preferred it, to be honest.
And I'll be honest, watching it back the second time, I did think to myself, this does not need to be here. I mean, he
could have got that spoon from anywhere.
He could have done. In one of Sylvester McCoy's pockets, probably.
Yeah.
That was just like, well, okay, yeah, you're showing that there is still some life in the aftermath of this thing, but we kind of get it. We've seen people turn to dust, and we've seen all the planets turn to dust. We understand that the universe is knackered, babes. To quote the Doctor.
Also, surely everyone's there going, we need an intergalactic government to sort of stop this sort of stuff happening, because this happened like 4 years ago.
Yeah. The universe is having a bad time of it lately.
Yeah, there's like 3 planets left in the entire universe.
It is ridiculous. Tyler Boothman just put, did Jack Harkness die or survive Sutekh? I think Jack Harkness probably flopped his willy out at Sutekh, and Sutekh was like, put it away.
I'll shag anything. Dogs.
Yeah, well, he probably did in Utopia. He jumps onto the TARDIS. He's probably right inside Sutekh.
Probably. The Doc's like, Jack, you can come in now. Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. The Doctor is on a desolate dead world and asks this woman where he is.
Got any spoons?
Fax died. Got any spoons? Fax died in the wave of death. She can't remember who she is or the name of her dead baby, which seemed, just sort of unpleasant for the sake of it. Like, there's an empty cot with a fucking... The Doctor goes, what is that smell? Oh my God. Love, you've got to get rid of that. I know that, look, I know it must be difficult, but that's just not healthy to have around, that like there's a decaying infant in that. Fucking hell, love. Come on. Joe Mummer, thanks for the £5. Theory: Millie not fully committing to the next season meant that her mum had to be penciled in as a randomer, a 15-year-old that owns a cloak for some reason. I don't know about that. We'll come to it, but I don't know if Millie's absence for next year feeds into any of that directly. No. I think it might be a sort of indirect consequence of all of that.
Yeah, because I think she's probably going to be in enough episodes next year for them to have, if they wanted her mum to have been something more and a bit more special, they could have. Yes, they probably could have done it, I think.
Absolutely. Tom Langford with the $4.99. Find it funny that Sutekh is only bothered about the mystery of Ruba's parents and not anything else, like the Doctor's name. Like he could have had that to like kind of
do you know when he said about the secrets inside the TARDIS, I was like, oh my God, they're going to mention that fucking fob watch that she threw into the console. They're going to bring this up again. But no, it wasn't. The secret was, I'm really quite interested into knowing who this girl's mummy is. It's driving me around the twist. So if you and Annie said this. She was like,
he was the only fucking person that was interested in that storyline.
Well, yeah, and Annie said, obviously later on, Ruby does discover who her birth mother is, because she gets the DNA readout that she goes to show Sutekh. He can read people's minds. So he would have just been like, oh yeah, oh, it's her, is it? Oh well, now I'll kill you both.
She was nobody interesting. This angers Sutekh. I will kill you even harder than I would have before. Yeah, very strange. So the Doctor asks, the spoon is a precious metal. He plugs it into the TV screen. And we see more scenes from the Pyramids of Mars. Ruby picks it up, and we see scenes from 73 Yards with Roger Ap William and the sequence that seems to have been cut from the episode, which introduces mandatory DNA testing. The Doctor grabs a whistle, shrugs.
There was a whole I haven't watched the commentary, but I saw Jamie's Twitter feed about it for the international viewers who can't watch it, and apparently there was a big thing about the whistle in the originals. I think it was shot, but they cut it for time reasons, where he gets the whistle, but he then uses it later on to control the TARDIS, which I didn't understand how he manages to do that. And then
because he can do it with his fingers anyway. He can click, or he could stick his finger in his mouth and do that, or why that whistle? He's
multi-talented, lips and fingers.
Oh, fuck off.
So, he'll make that TARDIS whistle. So apparently at the end he was going to like chuck the whistle into the console so that the remembered TARDIS would remember there was a whistle in the TARDIS and create a paradox or some shit.
So that he got the whistle back.
Yeah. I mean, I think it works equally as well with this. There's a whistle. I mean, why wouldn't there? There's a load of old tat on the TARDIS. There's bound to be a fucking whistle from, his days as a PE teacher or God knows what else.
I know. So they go to, was it 2046?
Yeah.
And Ruby searches the DNA database for her mum while Mel is succumbing to Sutekh's will.
Can I just hop in before we get there? It's just the memory TARDIS stuff. So Ruby's basically been watching Pyramids of Mars while the Doctor's out looking for spoons. And I just had an error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Sorry, viewers, if you can't see this.
That's odd. I'm not seeing anything on this end.
Oh, weird. Anywho, she's been watching Pyramids of Mars, a good Doctor Who story, and she turns around and goes, "What was all that Egyptian stuff?" And the Doctor says, "Cultural appropriation." Now, for whom? For who is culturally appropriating? Are the Egyptians? Because surely,
the Egyptians are culturally appropriating the Sirens.
Yeah, but the joke reads as if, oh no, Sutekh culturally appropriated the Egyptians. Either way, it's a shit joke, but it's a joke made that kind of smacks about some of the sort of worthiness of some of this era at the moment.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm absolutely on the side of whatever Russell's on the side of, because Russell Russell appears to be on the side of live and let live. Let's not be arseholes to each other and all of that. And I don't think I would disagree with any of Russell's politics or any of Russell's personal politics or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Generally, I can't imagine I would anyway. But for the sake of just saying, "Oh, I said that," because somebody needs to. It's like I don't. Well, they don't in this case, because it confuses things.
Yeah.
And could you have cut that line and then just given us a little bit more of something else to help?
Yeah.
Tie everything together so it doesn't just feel like we've got
something that was actually worth saying.
Yeah, because it's like, but yeah, very, very strange, very strange.
Like who is that joke for? The fans? Well, the fans don't think anything of it, and the people at home don't know the story of the Pyramids of Mars, so everyone is left
this
going,
is it.
Huh?
This is it. I mean, I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but I have one of my school friends was messaging me last night and was saying, "Oh, we've had Doctor Who on," and I sort of said, yeah, why? No, he said, "I'm watching the last couple of episodes, and this was the main one, was why does the Doctor have a granddaughter now?" And I said, "Oh, well, he always did." she was one of his first companions. He said, okay, has that come up recently, or is this just something they decided to bring up for the season? I said, well, the last time they brought her up was, 1983. Yeah, right. There's just a lot of stuff, that plus Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff that is relying on people having watched Daleks in color, for a start, just to say, oh, there's Susan,
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. But that's not the cut and thrust of people who are watching the show, and Russell knew that from before.
Yeah.
Has it been that they thought, when we colorize the Daleks, everybody, even people who don't want to watch modern Doctor Who, which is more watchable for a modern sensibility, everybody's going to want to watch Daleks in color. So everyone's going to know who Susan is. All the casual audience, because we've said it before, the viewing figures are where they are, and for the most part, viewing figures, especially on overnights, but when you factor in the rest of the world, viewing figures on BBC One don't really matter all that much.
Yeah.
But we've said before, when Doctor Who reaches its lowest points in terms of viewership, is that the round-ish number of people who will watch Doctor Who regardless?
Yeah.
Is that the number of? It's probably not, but is that the number of Doctor Who fans in the country? Is that it?
Yeah.
To do all these things with Susan and with Sutekh and Pyramids and all of that, all these callbacks, is only serving that audience.
Yeah.
It's not serving anyone who's come on through Doctor Who being big on Disney now, because they can't watch that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Very strange.
It's very strange. Draw with Cameron Smith has just said that the 11th Doctor brings up the fact he has a granddaughter in the Rings of Akaten. But even then, that's like 11 years ago, and a lot of the people who were watching 11 years ago probably aren't watching now.
No.
So it's weird. It's a very weird thing. It's a bizarre thing to bring back, especially when, and I kind of expected the Doctor, when he sort of says at the end of the story, I know I'm getting ahead here, when he sort of says about, you've helped me to talk about my family in a way that I've not really spoken about them before. I thought he was going to say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find Susan.
Yeah.
And, that I need to make it up to her. And if he'd have done that, I'd have been like, oh, okay, well, there's been a real reason for this. This has had cause and effect, even though it was just like a minor thing, it happened to be inconsequential to Sutekh's plan in the grand scheme of things. It has had a wider ramification for the Doctor's character. If that does happen, hey, great. But
it should have happened. It should have happened then.
Yeah. There should have been more of a signpost of that, like, well, this is me going forward,
Yeah, because the Doctor's only learned, to open up about his family, which is odd considering the fact he's been talking about her the whole way through the season, then gets to the end of it and is like, thanks for all the therapy chats. I've decided that I can't be asked, actually, to go and see her. John Smith, thanks for the £5. Sutekh's desire for closure of Ruby's mystery, representing the viewer's desires, would have worked better with the god of fiction or the master from the Mind Robber. That would have been a nice meta commentary, because I do think that there is some metatextual reading of this story. I was seeing one in particular, which I replied to last night, about Sutekh being a toxic fan who just wants all of his questions answered. And doesn't care about the route getting there, just wants to know that one thing. And it's like, you can't do that in a season where you don't really seem to care to create those threads. So, like, I don't know if we're going to look at this in 15 years time and be like, this is a commentary in the same way Bad Wolf was of, the evils of television or whatever it is.
Of shit telly.
of shit telly. Dan, thanks for the £10. Not enough good doggo for me. Was Bad Wolf a subtle warning from the TARDIS all along? Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Bad doggy. Also, just wanted to say, thanks for all the hard work, boys. You helped the disappointing eps go down easier. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Dan. Thank you very much.
So...
and then just still on the Pyramid of Mars thing, she turns around and says, who was that bloke with the hair and that girl? And the Doctor says, they travelled in the TARDIS. It's not like, oi, that's me.
Yeah, well, he's explained to her last week, by the way, I changed my appearance.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been at least a way of going, that thing I mentioned about an hour ago. That's that.
Believe it or not, that's me. And she'd be like, what? Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
If you turn over to BBC 4, I'll tell you the full story.
I'm surprised he didn't turn around and say, incidentally, I'm sorry about the afro. It was a different time.
Yeah.
So we get a nice bit of Sutekh shredding.
I thought I'd bring it back
system.
in the Devil's Cord, but it ain't working.
Yeah. No. I mean, it was nice to have it back. At least that wasn't cultural appropriation. At least, I could wear that afro in that story. So Sutekh starts shredding the Doctor's nervous system, which was nice because it was like, a little callback, and you had the kind of green energy around the Doctor's body, which was nice.
Yeah.
Ruby is about to give up her mum's name. But before she does, she smashes the screen.
What about the Bonnie Langford zombie Mel?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like, well, it's fine. Like, she's not dead. She'll
come back. Yeah, I thought
she'll come back. Even though
she did it well, though. I thought
she did.
The performance was really good.
She was fantastic, but she was under a different sort of influence, or she wasn't Thanos snaps. She was mummified and dead, and so that for a brief second I thought, well, maybe because this is different and like she's a walking corpse like Scarman was.
Yeah,
and the Doctor goes, she's dead.
Yeah,
in a way that he doesn't refer to the rest of the universe being turned to dust.
Yeah,
I thought, okay, maybe this is an irreversible sort of thing. And to be honest, for an episode called The Empire of Death, you do want a
bit of death.
A bit of death. I want a bit of death in my Empire of Death. You do want something that is affecting, because, for everything to just be undone again, I'm not saying that it doesn't make Sutekh strong or whatever, because that's not really important if you're going to kill him off at the end of the episode anyway. But it would have given stuff a bit more of added weight if, that really was Mel gone, because she spent so much time with the Doctor up to that point.
Yes.
And I don't know, speaking of it, what happened to Harriet Arbinger? Did she get laser blasted by the whatever
TARDIS,
that fucking TARDIS
TARDIS laser beam? The
TARDIS nitrous oxide.
I assumed that was like the heart of the TARDIS again, but I mean, not particularly clear really what that was. It was just engage lasers. TARDIS.
The TARDIS needs a laser. It needs some kind of. Where was that when the cyber controller was on the bridge? When the cyber controller kept fucking hell, man. Tin and Sonic, thanks for the £4. Love the pod. Best line for me was, "It will stand as my altar, the temple to my empire of death." That was great. Yeah. All the stuff with, generally speaking, all the stuff with Sutekh was great.
Yeah. I honestly cannot fault him and his bits. Those were the standouts really for me.
Definitely.
And that was a shame really that the sort of betrayal of the TARDIS didn't feature as much as we thought it was going to, because last week Harriet Arbinger had that fantastic line about how Sutekh seduced the ship and all this sort of stuff, and it sort of made it seem like that the TARDIS sort of has turned on the Doctor, kind of like in Zagreus, when we reviewed that on our Patreon. If you want to go and check that out, nice little plug there. But that was good. And that you kind of wanted that. That would have been a really interesting plot thread. But
you've only, we have 8 episodes to get all of this across. It's just not enough, Could we have had some more stuff going on to signpost towards this in the specials or whatever? I don't know. There was also an odd line. I don't know if anybody can help me with it. When Mel does turn into one of Sutekh's servants, the Doctor says something like she was too cold or something.
Yes, so that's how he knew she was dead, because he touched her hand and she felt that she was dead cold. It's that time. It's that time, everybody. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Comes our man.
And he's dressed for the occasion. Certainly am. Hello.
Now, Johnny,
Good evening.
have
Hello,
you got
there we go. That would have been for Hello all.
Have you got an actually good pullover on compared to what we saw on screen?
The best thing about this story, this and this.
It was nice to see.
That's all I have to say. Goodbye. Bye.
For audio listeners, he picked up a Seventh Doctor calling card and he's wearing a Seventh Doctor pullover.
Johnny,
yes,
tell
friend.
us.
Yeah.
How did you feel? What did you think?
Bullshit.
Nice. Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment, wasn't it?
Well,
what did we think of?
Was,
run through it for me. Where was all the bullshit?
It was okay until the dog lead came out, basically, and at that point, I thought, oh dear. I mean, he should have zapped her before she put that on him. He did it to the Doctor 2 seconds ago.
Yeah,
and then he does nothing. And he's got these big bloody teeth and claws. He can't break the bloody lead.
Maybe that's Sutekh's kink. Maybe he liked it. He was like, oh,
maybe he's into it.
A blonde woman has put a lead on Sutekh. I find that good.
Maybe all of his servants should have had those like fetish dog masks on.
Yeah.
That's it. Worked. That's the cultural appropriation. That's where it comes from. Sutekh has inspired people to get down on all fours with one of those dog masks on
and lick each other's bollocks. Yeah, that's exactly where it comes from. So come on, Johnny. So what did we think of? Because we're coming up to it now anyway. What did we think of the Ruby's mum reveal?
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't very good, was it?
No, it was very, very bad. It was very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I mean, why would Sutekh give a shit about her?
Well, yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
No.
None of it made any sense.
No, it was a bit of a letdown, and to have that whole run of episodes, for nothing to seem to be connected at all until they finally say, oh, by the way, that is important.
There's all this big lead up, with the snow and all this stuff and the carol of the bells, and then she's a nurse, Against nurses, obviously they're very, very good, but there's lots of other nurses that Sutekh could go after.
Again,
there's
maybe
a few nice ones at Southmead, I tell you.
Again, maybe that's another thing. Maybe he's into nurses,
maybe
blonde women, and leads.
Yeah.
What a weirdo.
It was just disappointing, very disappointing. And we were going to stay up. Matt and I were quite keen to stay up till midnight. I know. Annie had the sense to say, no, I'm going to bed. And I thought, you know what?
No.
I had I had a kid's party, so my little one had a birthday party this afternoon. It was a circus theme one, so that was interesting. But and it was quite tiring, so I'm glad I didn't stay up till,
he was the
clown. I was the clown. Because, I would have been exhausted, but... Yeah, to stay up for that.
You'd have been sat in the corner like that the whole time, just thinking about how shit it was.
How bad it, yeah. So, it's over now. That's the upside of things.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about this until Christmas. We can get back to talking about proper Doctor Who.
Yeah,
we can wait for the next collection set to come out.
We can,
which
might be mine.
Which might be yours. Yes,
may
or may not be season 25.
Be nice.
Exciting. Is that us just leaking it there then?
Who knows? That's the rumor. That's
who knows?
Yeah, it's a rumor.
That's the rumor.
So you thought the same as us then, Billy? Overall?
Yeah, I wasn't keen. Keen. It just felt too airy fairy namby pamby. It was just like, why suddenly is all this stuff important when it's not been? Considering the fact that the whole thing at the end is, you're not important, and that's what's so special about you.
Yeah.
It's like, why do all these other things that seemed to have no importance become super important? As well. It didn't help any of that stuff land particularly.
The Doctor says at the end, because I made a note of it, and
he says there's always a twist at the end. Like, bloody hell, there was a twist in this one.
And the twist
was shit.
It didn't work.
It didn't work.
He says. Did I not? I'm sure I wrote it down. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I was. Oh, she was important because we think she's important.
That's the meta reading, isn't it?
You can say that about anybody.
Anything,
Yeah.
Why isn't Sutekh interested in everybody then?
In that case,
I know.
Why isn't it snowing when everybody's bloody walking by? Or I don't know. Man,
totally.
It doesn't make sense, does it? When you think it just doesn't make sense.
No, and I'm shocked that no one on the production went,
Come on. Yeah. Well, this doesn't make sense. No. This does not make sense. I guess they didn't because they wanted to keep their job. But,
that's probably part of it.
I'm sure a lot of people were looking at this thinking, what? What does this mean?
Yeah. I would imagine so.
But I will just interject because I haven't got to this point yet, but I'm going to say my little bit. Mrs. Flood at the end.
Mm.
Do you know who I think she is?
Go on.
Romana, because she wears like Mary Tam's outfit.
She does. She does wear Mary Tam's outfit. It was an interesting look.
Either that or a very strange version of Mary Poppins, which I would quite like.
Which again is weird because it's like, well, we've done that as well. Like, Russell's gone.
Mary Poppins.
This is the fetish podcast, is it? What? No, well, I mean, as in, Moffat did the whole Mad Mary Poppins thing with Missy.
Oh, with her. Oh, yeah.
And it's like, okay, she's just got like a Mrs. Claus variant of that outfit by the looks of things.
Oh, yeah,
true.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought, just reminded me of her when I saw it.
Yeah. Gents, I'm going to do something I've not done before. I am going to leave both. Yes.
Oh,
okay.
I actually am. So I'm going to leave you
we're just going to chat. We're going to chat now.
Have a little, little chat if that's all right.
This is different.
This is for Jonathan for Billy's toilet break. Then is it?
Yeah.
How are you then? Good. Not too bad. Too well. Yourself?
Not too bad. So what did you do today when I was out? Anything nice?
Went for an ice cream. That was nice.
Nice gelato. Yeah, good. Well done.
That was lovely.
Yeah. I went to a little kids' party. Yeah. 26 kids.
Your son's out, not just a random one.
Not a random one. No, my son's. Yeah, it was very good. It went very well. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it was nice. Nice weather for it.
It was good weather for it.
Yeah.
Well, this is awkward, isn't it?
Yeah. I bought some new Daypole toys. Should I talk about that?
Oh yeah, talk about your Daypole figures.
Yeah. I've just recently bought yesterday. A very rare, I think it's quite rare, this one. The original box. Do you want to go and get the one to show them all?
Matt? I will, without breaking everything.
Go and do that. Go on.
Oh, you take this one.
Just Sylve.
Yeah, he's all right.
That's what we want. Right. Yeah. Okay. So, this one, everyone. There's the camera. Okay, so from the 80s, obviously this one here, 87, roughly. Sylve in first season costume, obviously. A bit later on in the run of Daypole toys, they made slightly different jointed arms. And when they brought the Brown Jacket season out, it had open hands. This one doesn't. But I think there's some rare ones where they have the white jacket with open hands. And I found one on eBay and I bought one yesterday. 30 quid. That was a good buy.
No, it's not bad, is it?
No, it's very good. So they were in that nice original box as well, because the boxes later on were shit. Anyway, they're the best ones.
They are the best ones. They're great.
So that cut a bit of time, right? Okay.
What else did we talk about? We've talked about Silurian heads.
Silurian heads.
You fell down. Sorry, I just destroyed your mint on card. Seventh Doctor from Daypole.
Good. Are people still here, or have they all turned off by now?
No.
They're here.
We've got more people than ever. Oh no, they have turned off actually. It just dropped. They're like, what the bloody hell's going on here?
Johnny Pod, look. Wow.
We need a Johnny Pod.
Well.
Yeah. I don't think the internet's ready for such things.
Delights. Or frights.
Yeah.
So we did that. What else? Any other interesting news at the moment?
Yeah. Anything else? Character Sonic. Yes, Vortex J has just said Character Sonic. The 15th Doctor Sonic leaked on the internet. It's going to be announced at San Diego Comic-Con, I think someone said.
Oh, yeah.
According to Twitter.
So you going to get one of those?
I hope so.
Good.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah.
That's all I'm allowed to say on that.
Fair enough.
What's this? Steptoe and Brother. Yeah.
Steptoe and Brother, yeah.
Hell. I don't know where Billy's toilet is, but he's taking a long time.
Yeah.
He's doing a bit. It's
a big job.
It's a big job.
Oh, bless him. This is different, isn't it? I mean, this really is different.
Yeah, it's weird.
What else can we talk about?
Don't know. Anything else that we've not talked about?
Oh, we might be doing a video soon. You and I, can we give them a...
Yes. Coming soon to Patreon.
Yes.
We have got a commentary of myself and Jonathan talking about Bidding Adieu, which was Sylvester McCoy's little vlog that he shot when he went to San Francisco. No, he didn't. To Vancouver
for the movie,
the TV movie.
Lewis has donated £2 and said, "Did Johnny watch Tales of the TARDIS, Pyramids of Mars?"
I did. Not live. Not all of it, because I was at choir, so I came back and I watched parts of it, and then I top and tailed the shooty Millie bit, just to see what that was like, and it was fine.
It was all right. I thought some of the new effects were good. It was
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
The vortex bit was quite good.
Annie has just WhatsApped me and said Celestial Toymaker.
Oh yes, we watched that.
Enjoyed that.
We did enjoy that. That was good.
I'm sure Ian Levine is seething now that we've said that.
No,
but
it was
good. Really good. It made a shit story palatable.
Yeah, it did. More likable, didn't it? Yes, it was good. Hello, how are you feeling now?
Have we been cancelled? Have you cancelled us while I've been away?
No. People are still here. They want me to have my own podcast.
I mean, Johnny, it's got to happen at some point.
Yeah,
We did lose about 20 viewers, but they've come back up again now. That's all right.
Oh, good. I was worried. I was worried everybody was going to say, "Oh fuck, can you stay in the bathroom, please? We're enjoying Johnny."
Steve McQuark has said Billy's back weighing 2 stone lighter.
I tell you what, I am the definition of that meme that says I'm being really brave and I've got a bad tummy right now. I am that fucking definition of that meme. Anyway,
you're struggling.
We're all good. We're all good. We're all good.
Okay.
Anyway, Johnny, you can fuck off now. I'm back.
Hey, what? I'll go now. Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry. Right. Now he's here. We entertained everybody. Talking about Daypole figures and other bits and pieces. So
Interesting.
You'll have to tune in and find out what we talked about.
Yes, you will.
I know. I was thinking I probably should have taken my phone with me just to monitor stuff and drop any like.
We were behaving ourselves.
Yeah, any apologies I need to put into the chat. Well, Johnny, how do you feel about the rest of the year leading up towards Christmas and stuff? Are you in any way interested in watching any more Doctor Who ever?
Well, yeah, old stuff. I mean, like I said, it's done now. We'll wait till Christmas and see what that joy has to bring.
It's done now.
It's done now. It's all gone so quickly. I mean, 8 episodes is so short, isn't it? What's next year going to be? Is it back to 12 or 13 next year, or is it 8 again?
Oh, still 8 again.
Oh, good. Well, that's useful then.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, short and sweet. Good. Okay.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. So there we go.
It's good, this Doctor Who podcast, isn't it?
In it. I mean, I don't know if there are many Doctor Who podcasts out there that like Doctor Who,
Yeah. As much as we do.
We all end up moaning about it at some point.
Yeah. Maybe that should have been our name. We don't like Doctor Who.
We don't like Doctor Who. The We Hate Doctor Who show.
Well, there we go. Never mind. Right then, well, I'll let you all get back on. Anyway, nice to see you all.
Nice to see you, Johnny. Thank you so much.
Billy. You feel better. Look after your tummy.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Take a cork up.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye all. And thanks to the person that bought the other Toffolo Time Lord pillow.
Oh, yeah, that was Macro, wasn't it?
Macro
Macro. Right. I saw a picture. Matt sent it to me, so that was very kind. So well done. I hope you enjoy it. Right, okay.
Sitting on Jonathan.
Careful. Right, okay. Right, on that note, bye all. Ciao.
Ciao.
Oh, God, dear. Oh, the headphones aren't quite as warm this time, which is quite surprising, considering that...
he's not quite as angry as last time. That's like a gauge of where we are.
Yeah, I think he's just found he's so incredulous about the whole thing that he's just like,
whatever.
Oh, dear. Yeah, so the dog lead of Sutekh.
The lead... I will say, before we get into it, I loved the visual of him tearing that hole through... time across the sky. That all looked really, really nice. I mean, you can't fault this episode for the way it looks and the design of everything. So, that's all still top notch.
Yeah. What did you think when she got the lead out? Were you just like we were like, oh, for God's sake, don't do this?
Yeah, it was a fucking hell moment. I don't know. I understand, you've got to cut a villain down to size because they're getting their comeuppance. And I know that you've got to have some sort of fantastical visual and it's the way that those scripts work is, well, we've got money for 6 more effect shots.
Yeah.
Why don't we do something crazy like the Doctor? Because I don't mind the visual, like it looked great. But I just think And it probably is partly us being precious Doctor Who fans about how much we love Sutekh, but there is just something a little bit, don't do that to him. Of all the villains.
Yeah.
You
wouldn't do it to Davros. Not these days.
No, he's certainly not. No. He did build a ramp for him, though.
He did.
Maybe it just makes it easier to push him out into the vortex. I don't know. But yeah, what did you think of all that?
Oh, I was just like, oh, please, God, no. And like we said, it didn't really make sense, with his power, they made such a point of him, like, having evolved into this Titan, the ultimate version of himself. At least in Pyramids of Mars, he's weakened from the fact that he's been imprisoned for all this time. And even then, I've seen a few people say, like, oh, well, the resolution to Pyramids of Mars is a cop-out. I was like, well, it is and it isn't, because a lot of that is set up. The time factor thing is all set up in part 1 when he's talking about the radio waves from Mars to here and all that sort of stuff. It's all set up in the script, ready and waiting. This script set up Sutekh to be so powerful that he could destroy the universe like that, but come along with a dog lead and, incapacitated. Having just, like Jonathan said, zapped the Doctor, which was lovely fan service. We all went, ooh, how nice.
Ooh.
Although, again, it did make me think, well, surely one of you should have gone, well, hang on, that's a green effect. He should have green eyes, surely. Old Sutekh had green eyes. Maybe that just makes too much sense.
Maybe. Yeah, they looked at that, as like a note and thought, yeah, but everything else is nonsense. That why would we bother to make that make sense? Of all the things. So they had this whole thing about Ruby, we beat a monster. Now the Doctor must become one.
Yeah.
He tells Sutekh that if Sutekh represents death, the Doctor must represent life.
But now I'm going to kill you.
But now I'm going to kill you. And off he goes. He turns to dust in the vortex. I mean, we can say, that's him done now and he's gone forever. I mean, if he's particles of Sutekh dust in the vortex, there's no reason why he can't. If he managed to hold on that whole time, every week, Doctor, I was going through that fucking title sequence from 2010 to 2013, getting smashed around the edges of the fucking vortex, and tumbling around, being sick.
I even put up with that movie maker version that you had.
I even put up with the really shit versions of your title sequence. Yeah. So is it now? Russell made a big deal, didn't he? Of like, the TARDIS skirting around the vortex is important because it's important. And
it's Sutekh's claws just scraping against the edges of the vortex.
Yeah, it's him going, whoa, 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 whoa. Jesus Christ, this one can't drive. But then, if it's important for that title sequence, if it's important for this run of Doctor Who, but then at the end of this season, you say that it's always been like that. I do think sometimes Russell just says stuff because it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's a good soundbite.
Because it's a good soundbite. He knows how to work the press.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, he said that last week with the Susan Twist thing. It was like, it's drumming up a lot of speculation on the internet, and people are talking about it and people are noticing it and blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, that's great. But, you can't base everything around the fact that people might just talk about it on the internet and then not deliver on something, because then people are going to talk on the internet about, well, that was fucking shit, and guess what happened?
And also,
that's what they're doing.
When the show, when he ran the show previously, the online discourse and Doctor Who fandom in that way wasn't the sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a bit of a misfire of, where are you pitching this? You can't have it both ways. You can't say this is standalone and then get to the end and be like, well, no, there are a couple of things that are looping back. Okay, there's more than a couple of things that are looping back. And it's like we said before about maybe if it was serialized and maybe if it had less of a loose structure where you had episodes that you felt like you could miss, but actually you can't, because if you didn't watch 73 Yards, you know, that bit where they look at each other and realize, you know, it's meaningless. So maybe a bit too much navel gazing, maybe a bit too much, you know, if it just had the confidence just to tell the story and just get on with it. And if people can find the links, then you do the kind of flashback at the end. I don't know. I mean, one thing we are going to do soon, in fact, I think it might be our next main review on the podcast, is the series 3 finale, the last 2 episodes, Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords.
Yeah.
That's going to be fascinating to watch because, you know, for my money, with the exception of the season 1 finale, series 1 finale, that's the best finale that Russell wrote.
Really?
Yeah. So it's going to be, it's going to be interesting to watch it again because I haven't watched it for years.
Yeah.
But in light of this,
yes.
I'm just seeing.
See, I've already watched it. I watched it the other day. So I watched it thinking, oh, I wonder how similar to this is going to be.
Well,
say no more.
Maybe we'll save that comparison for the actual episode.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of little things that just before we move on to the mum shit. That whole bit where when they first hook Sutekh onto the lead, he turns around and says, "What happens when you bring death to death? You bring life." So it was like, okay, so death goes through time, kills everybody. So if we drag him back through time, it makes everyone come back to life.
I guess it reverses. It's like,
but where's the logic in that?
Well, if he used the analogy of, remember that videotape thing from last week? You know, if you hit backwards on a videotape, anyone who died in something comes back to life. I don't know if they managed to sort of.
I'm surprised that they never went, well, hang on a minute. The TARDIS has been constant throughout all of these adventures. If we can distill the TARDIS memory banks into a VCR tape and VHS tape and put it on Morris's VCR at Unit HQ and press rewind, it'll all go back to normal. You might as well have just done that.
You've got the ultimate off-air UK Gold Omnibus edition right there.
Yeah.
Millions of years.
Everything from 1976 onwards. Brilliant.
Yeah. Millions of years on a 90-minute video cassette running it. Imagine the quality you'd have to bump it down to squeeze all that in.
He recorded it on long play so that he got more on there.
Lovely. Yeah, it would have looked like shit.
It would have looked like shit. Ginger Lewis has just given us a super chat. He says, I think the season would have benefited from more episodes. Feels like it needed more time to breathe. Yeah, and I think it really impacted my feelings towards the Doctor and Ruby as a companion duo because, you know, I never really got their relationship. Like, I never really got their friendship. They were just like,
best mates.
We're best mates. Are you? I don't really feel that. And I mean, it's obviously not helped by the fact that 2 episodes, they're not really in the same room together. Another one we've got here is from Huddled Urchin, who says, if they had the face in this title sequence, they could have played around with it and could have had Sutekh's eyes and his head in the last story. That would have been cool.
That would have been nice. Or Sutekh, spinning through the vortex going, fuck!
Help!
Yeah. I had a thought on something, but I just thought it's fucking futile.
There was another weird bit earlier on when when the Doctor first confronts Sutekh back at Unit HQ and they have that chat. I didn't really buy Ncuti's performance when he was like, "Oh, I swear on the hearts of the last of the Time Lords, I'm going to stop you." I didn't really feel that. I just thought it was just like, nah, I don't feel the intent. In his performance, I was like, I don't feel the intensity there of like, I don't feel like you actually mean what you're saying here. You just sort of feel
in the time window or at the end
in the time window.
Yes,
you know what I mean. It just sort of like feels a bit namby-pamby to me.
Very, very, very odd. Yeah, I thought when I was watching it, I did get a feeling of we haven't had instances too much where, I mean, at all. And I'm not saying that he did, but that you feel like Shooty is struggling to make something work.
Yeah.
Or something. But there was something about that scene that just seemed a bit like, I've just been dragged on here to shoot this.
Yeah.
Really quickly. There wasn't the same weight behind his performance. You couldn't see it in his eyes as much.
No. You sort of think, if you imagine like Tennant or Capaldi or Smith or Eccleston, delivering that line, it would have been a real, intense, like, I swear on the hearts of the times, I will stop you, not just like, I'll do it. It was a bit like Mark Gatiss in The Web of Caves,
Yeah.
Well, I got an opening, so I'll do it, but...
Stop us.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. And then when he goes on, and then he's going on about like, this idea about like, you don't know if I'm going to stop you or I might, doesn't that make you feel so alive? And it's like, Sutekh's probably thinking, what are you chatting about, mate?
What are these concepts of like love and peace and harmony? And I mean, look, I'm a big dog. I'm not really that fussed about it. If you've got a ball the size of King Kong's bollock, I might be interested. But he was petty enough and interested in the human sides of things enough to worry about Ruby's mum and who she was. I have to be honest and say that although it did feel like the strongest part of the whole story for the kind of emotional weight behind it, because I thought it was played really well for the most part. The mum stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that Ruby should have spoken to her, because the Doctor's making a very good case for, you've had to find somebody with a time machine in order to find her. Like, she could have made the effort. And when she goes, every Christmas, I thought this will be the one that I get in touch. But I had a few too many Baileys and fell asleep in front of the TV, and I just couldn't be arsed after that. And I forgot the next day. So anyway, can I have a look at your photo album? Can I catch up a little bit? And there's even like a little bit of a look from Carla when she's going on about that.
Yeah.
Of a kind of, right. I mean, that's not really good enough, is it? And it's like, well, no, it isn't. But we're just meant to look at that final scene of all of them stood together in the hallway holding each other and think, I'm sure that family dynamic isn't going to have any problems whatsoever.
Yes.
I'm sure they're all going to get along famously, and we're not going to have any petty spite, especially when Dad re-enters the picture. I'm sure that's going to go brilliantly.
And she was like, I've told my mum all about you. And I bet her mum probably thought, oh, God, glad I got rid of this one. She's a fucking nutcase. She's talking about bloody time traveling, bloody telephone boxes. I mean,
you were dropped on your head as a child, Ruby. That's why I took you to the church. You did. Maybe you got frostbite, and that's had a bit of an effect. Because this whole thing about I saw a big dog on a phone box is a bit odd.
A bit weird, yeah. And then the whole thing about her pointing when they were like, "Oh, but she pointed at you, Doctor." No, she didn't. She pointed at the sign that said Ruby Road.
That was
and she's like,
awful.
"Oh, me mum named me. She named me after all this time." The fucking social workers weren't there, or the fucking ambulance crew, or anyone to see her mother point at the name of the street. Dumb.
And also, in the last episode, didn't they say she's pointing at the dog?
Yeah.
So that we know there's something there because we can't see it.
So Annie and I, we were chatting earlier on, and I said what they should have done is what we said from the beginning. Ruby is her own mum, and she is a paradox, so that's why it's causing all the squiffy shit. She points at the TARDIS because it's a warning to herself in the past, bit bad wolfy, that there's a big dog on the TARDIS. But what they also could have done, which would have also made a bit more sense, was rather than the Susan bollocks, why didn't they just have it that if the TARDIS has been landing everywhere, why isn't Ruby like something created by Sutekh, a mystery? Maybe there is no answer to it, but the mystery is, this girl. There's something going on about this girl, and it's something that Sutekh's done because Sutekh's been traveling with the Doctor, and he's like, I know what you're like. You can't resist a mysterious woman, and I laid the trap for you right here, and You fell for it, you twat.
You fucking idiot. Yeah.
Would have made more sense.
It would have made way more. It would have made way more sense. It would have made way more sense. But like, their surprise at Ruby, she was pointing at my name. She named me. It's like, but you were left at the church on Ruby Road.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that enough of a thing for viewers to think, oh, that's why she's called Ruby? Fine.
Yeah.
But like, we don't need the pointing to be like, that's why she's called. It's like, yeah, yes. Yes, that is why she's called Ruby. Yes. And why did we need to dedicate like a big swell of Murray Gold music and a big replay of the points and the sign glitching in? Why wasn't the sign there on the lamppost when they fucking put the tape in the first place?
Mom, I know you named me Ruby because you pointed at the sign. Actually, I didn't want to name you Ruby. I wanted to name you Lamppost.
Yeah,
that was.
I was actually pointing at the pub behind it. The lamppost was sort of in the way. So if you don't mind, we will change your name to the Lamb and Flag
White Heart
Sunday. The White Heart Sunday. The Dog and Handgun Sunday. So yeah, then we have we go to unit. Susan Triad is like, oh, I'm back to normal now, which wound me up. I'm back to normal now.
I'll make
and
the
by
tea,
the way,
pet.
I'll make the tea. And she's like, you know, obviously I'm a philanthropist and I've got all the money in the world. I've got this business to go back to, but actually can I have a badly paid civil servant's job with unit, please?
Yeah. He just gives
and
up
how
to
understaffed are they? I know. How understaffed are they that every single person that walks through the doors, Kate's like, do you want a job? Do you want a job? Do you fancy it? We've had a huge injection of money from the government.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they're able to give away contracts for civil services like this, you know, I don't know. There's going to be an investigation.
The turnover is really high because people die a lot, but actually they don't die a lot because it all just gets unwritten anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a clause in the contract that says, just ignore 14B that says, on the apparent death of myself, the contractor, I will probably be brought back to life again. But if I don't, then please don't be annoyed, because maybe that week the villain is actually not feeling like he wants to bring anyone back. Yeah, so.
Oh, yeah, and then Ibrahim and Kate had a little moment, didn't they?
They look at each other and they go, oh.
I'll have a bit of that.
There we go. Yeah. I've got so what have we got here? We've got Louise Allison Miller and Father William Benjamin Garnett. Ruby says it herself. She's so ordinary. She stayed invisible from a god because they saw importance in her. But if UNIT had the ability to find her with their own tech, because they use their devices, and Susan Triad as Sutekh's servant was using that stuff anyway. Yeah. Why did Sutekh not find it in their database? Because it's in their database.
Yeah.
Because thank you for bringing me the CRT screen and smashing it. That was very dramatic. But it turns out it's actually been here the whole time. Mm. So
prepare to die.
Prepare to die. Yeah, I'm gonna kill you now. We got all the Ruby Road stuff. Now, yeah, like I say, I did like the scene. It's probably my favorite scene in the whole thing. I did like the scene where she goes into the coffee shop and they look at each other across the table. Yeah. But I think that her mum sort of looks at her and doesn't really acknowledge her.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to sit there and sort of smile at her and then leave, and then we get a kind of lingering shot of Ruby's mum going, I wonder if that was
or when he says Ruby. What made me laugh was when she's like, my name's Ruby. I was named after a church on Ruby Road. And the poor guy, the barista's like, do you want this fucking cappuccino with oat milk or what? I'm just sitting here.
There's a lot of people I've got to serve here, love, and I don't have time to hear their fucking life stories. I'm sorry. That was really strange.
I
and then
it was
also
be
for her
just
to
Ruby, and then she was going to get a coffee and go, and then like you said, have that little moment of like, oh, could it be? Could she have been my little girl? You know, like in The Dark Knight Rises, when Alfred and Bruce Wayne clock each other. That might have been it.
And you could have had a whole thing of like, well, I've actually got my family. I've got, I've got a job with UNIT. I've got the doctor that I travel with.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that she's still calling Carla mum and Louise at the end is like, well, you know, there's obviously naturally barriers up and things to work through. I would have loved it even more if she'd gone, my name's Ruby because I was left on the church at Ruby Road. And she went, oh, sorry, it's not me. I think it might be the other woman sat next to me. And she went, oh, hi, mum. You just pan over and there's a lady bawling her eyes out.
Yeah.
So they go and see her. She sits across from her mum. She thought, oh, I'll call you every Christmas, but I got too shit-faced in front of the TV to do it. And but again, actually, that wasn't the only scene I really liked. I loved the farewell between the Doctor and Ruby. I thought it was really nice. Yeah. I loved, you know, it felt like a kind of, you know, cathartic companion departure. And I didn't expect it. I didn't expect them to part, and so it did work as a kind of surprise to me, because we know that obviously Millie Gibson is appearing sporadically through next year, which is exciting, to see how that's going to work between the two of them, and it did sort of feel like, okay, because the Doctor's been so inextricably linked with Ruby, it's like, oh, quite cool to think actually now we're going to get Ncuti with a different dynamic with somebody else, and that'll be interesting. That's something to look forward to for next year.
And how that all pans out with being, you know, not an existing character, but someone who's played a character already within his era.
Exactly. Another mystery that will, I'm sure, get a really satisfying answer to. Why were you that woman on that planet? Because I'm not important. Oh, yes, sorry, of course, I forgot. So I thought it was a nice farewell, and I did like the sort of subtext in the acting that I read into when they all kind of gave her a cuddle and she was crying as the TARDIS disappeared. Was like, I feel like they had been briefed by the director, like, she's just broken up with her boyfriend, so you know, kind of gather around her and give her a cuddle, kind of, you know, supportive. We're here, don't worry, it'll be all right, sort of thing. That was what I took out of it anyway.
Yeah. And I sort of thank God, I thought to myself, when she said I love you, and then he didn't say I love you back, he just turned. Apparently they shot it with him saying I love you too, but they cut it, and I was like, thank God for that. Jonathan's just WhatsApped me to say too much crying.
Too much crying, and then he starts crying again, and it's like, you know,
proper snotty tears as well, isn't it?
Proper snotty tears. I mean, again, it was, you know, Ncuti was great in that bit, and actually, because we've talked about how much we've sort of struggled to link him with being the Doctor, or like he hasn't felt like the Doctor yet, but seeing him on his own in the TARDIS, knowing he's going to go off and have his own solo adventures now, and all of that. Because, you know, the Doctor always gets bogged down by the companion arc of that's somebody who's really important, and it makes the Doctor feel less important, because if the Doctor can't unravel the mystery, then who could this person be? She's obviously, you know, at a level where the Doctor can't even work out what's going on. To actually just have him, you know, be traveling on his own solo now is going to make him feel more doctory, and that kind of last shot of him in the TARDIS, I was like, okay, no, I am keen to see. And I think in a different setup.
It helps that he was in his proper costume as well, I think.
Yeah.
Because he looks like the Doctor. As soon as you see him in that coat and that, you know, he looks like the Doctor. Doesn't look like the Doctor when he's in his bloody grease lightning.
No, in his leathers.
Yeah. But yeah, he really is travelling alone now. He hasn't even got Sutekh to talk to. If he'd have known.
I know.
If he'd have known, he could have had nice little chats with Sutekh. Give me a little scritch behind the ears.
The next multi-Doctor story we have, I think he should nudge the Doctor and say, I don't want to give too much away, but every now and again, it might be nice if you leave a little bit of dog roll outside the police box just in the evening, because I think, you know, he's probably struggling a bit up there. Maybe a little bowl of milk or something as well. And then we get Ruby going back to the house, and
through the time vortex.
Yeah, he needs a what is it? Every like 8 months, he will need his glands done.
Yeah,
just so you know. So we have that bit.
I've learned that the hard way.
Ruby goes back into her house, and we start getting Mrs. Flood narrating, and we get the big pull out of the window and crane up to the roof, and there she is, stood there looking like the most evil Mrs. Claus or Cruella de Vil you've ever seen in your life, and says the Doctor's story will end in absolute terror. Night night.
Yeah.
Run credits.
To which I said, Christ, can't get any worse than this old shite, surely.
Probably not. No, I would hope not. Macra, wow! Thank you so much for the £50.
We've got a few super chats. Yeah, we've got a few. So I've got them all here. So first off, we've got Dr. Strangelove, who says, if I see the Doctor cry one more time, I'm going to lose it. They need to dial down the crying a lot, or else it has no effect. Yeah, we talked about this a lot. Dan OP, another one from Dan saying, I want to see the Pantheon family play Monopoly. I'm sure that'd be very, very fun. And then, yes, we have another one from Dalek Seth, from Chris, saying, just seen official concept art of Sutekh with green eyes. Looks far better. Interesting.
Interesting.
But even green eyes can't save him from what ultimately happened. No. And then, last but not least, we've got this massive one from Macra. Thank you so much, Macra, saying, do you think that Ruby leaving Ish might be similar to when Clara left and came back? Also, twice now that Miss Flood has worn previous companions' outfits. Been loving these rods the last few weeks. Gonna miss it. You've done a fantastic job. Well, thank you. And thank you, Macra, because you've done an amazing job moderating for us. So thank you ever so much.
Yeah, I didn't put much stock in the old companions' outfits until people started linking the Romana one costume.
Yeah.
But then, what we didn't see any of it before this particular episode, so I don't know if I'm putting too much stock in it,
Who knows? Guy Lambert said, Millie was superb in the final 15 minutes or so, and it made me cry because I'm old enough to be her dad. Spoiler, I'm not her dad. I mean, you could be. You could. We could, any of us could be at this point.
Gordon, I love that. She was heading off to make a remake of the E17 Stay Another Day Christmas
video. Yes, that's what I was trying to
exactly
think of
what she looked like.
Of the bloody song, yes.
That's exactly what she looked like. This episode sort of drained my will to actually kind of break it down, because I don't have the will of Sutekh has drained me. I don't have the enthusiasm to sort of analyze it, because the episode itself is sort of like so heavy on, this is important, you've really got to keep an eye on this, but then tells me at the end that it's not important and doesn't matter because she's just normal.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it does just feel like a bit of a fucking waste.
It does. And normally when a series of Doctor Who ends, you're sort of left going, can't wait till Christmas, can't wait till it's back at Christmas. And I just sort of left this like, well, guess it's back on at Christmas.
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing when it finished, because I think I was watching it with Stella in the room, but she kind of joined me for the last 20 minutes on the sofa and watched it with me. And when it finished, we did just sort of sit there in silence for a couple of minutes, just while I finished some notes off. And then I just sort of looked at her and went, well, see you again at Christmas. I honestly didn't have anything else to say beyond that. It's just like, that felt like a...
So you're not seeing Stella now until Christmas?
No, I'll see you. I'm looking forward to Doctor Who. I'll see you later.
Gosh.
This is almost the same level of ambivalence that I felt towards it with the whole heaven sent, hell bent sort of thing. It's just that same sort of, if it comes back, great. If not, you
are now feeling how I was feeling before the series started. So we've leveled out. We have
leveled out.
Yeah.
I was thinking as well the other day. I was like, well, at least I'll be watching Death of the Daleks in a couple of weeks. That'll be nice. I'll be able to enjoy that. That'll be fun. But I don't feel any level of buzz for. I mean, it's always a symptom of getting older and there being way more things for you to actually worry about or think about. That the mental capacity and the mental space you have to get excited for Doctor Who just isn't there as much, and that's fine. But then to finish the season and actually feel that deflated about it ending, I shouldn't feel. I should want more. I should be excited for more.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that way at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, it's a shame. This has been an interesting season, and I don't think it has gone in the way that either of us would have guessed.
No.
And I think that's something we'll probably talk about more when we do our full season roundup ranking.
That's coming.
But yes,
just to give us some time for this to kind of bed in.
To marinate in our brains,
in our juices.
Should we talk about Pyramids of Mars, Tales of the TARDIS?
Yes.
What did you think of that? Let's talk about a good story.
Let's talk about a good story. I really, really, really liked it.
Cool.
I thought that there were a couple of editing choices where you kind of think, I don't know if I would have cut it quite like that. But I actually was chatting with Benjamin Cook and sort of asked him, what was it like doing a 60s episode and a 70s episode? And he said, well, ultimately it's cut a lot more like it's shot and produced a lot more like modern TV. So it is easier to knit together. Yeah. And you've got, 2 or 3 less episodes to worry about juggling as well. And I think you could see that. I think that you could see that the material, especially having a villain like Sutekh, where his mouth isn't moving, so you can reuse shots. Trim it all down. was great. And I thought it definitely lent itself better to a re-edit than a 60s story.
Yes.
I really liked the Shooty and Millie stuff that they shot for it, especially considering, Mel is snoring in the background throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And how odd, what a weird it sort of threw me off a little bit hearing Dudley Simpson scores under Shooty talking in that first scene. I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
It was weird. But it was great. I enjoyed it. Like you said, there were a few moments. There were a few moments where I just sort of thought, that music cue, don't know if I'd put that there. Like the Logopolis one, I guess. Yes. I didn't twig initially that it was meant to be because they were talking about radio telescopes and stuff. That was the connection. Right. I didn't get that. It was like very odd choice to have Logopolis here.
It did feel a bit like watching Plastic Treachery and having like a random score pop up and you're like, oh, I know what that's from. That's a nice use of that in this scene, I guess, but it's so inextricably linked with that moment.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously, very anachronistic because 80s Doctor Who soundtracks sound very different to Dudley Simpson stuff. So that was a bit weird. And I also wasn't so keen on seeing Sutekh straight away zapping Marcus. I thought, oh no, you still want that build up to the big reveal. So that was really my only complaints. I also thought it was a bit daft that they bloody dubbed over the Egyptian men running out of the tomb at the start. They dubbed over them because normally he says something like, "Oh, Professor Scarman, blah 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 blah." I don't know what he says. But it's
bad dog.
Yeah, it's like garbled nonsense. But clearly they thought, oh, that might upset some people, but I don't think that was ultimately necessary. But
and the hand obviously has been omitted.
The hand, that was a shame, but fair enough. If the hand has to go, the hand has to go.
You can see why. Did you see though that the hand of Sutekh did actually reply to Benjamin Cook on Twitter?
I did. That was very cool. It's nice to know he's still out there.
I looked at his Twitter account, and in the bio, he has got "I am the hand of Sutekh" or something like that. And I thought it was fantastic.
I thought it was good. I mean, obviously they cut a lot from part 4. Like all the puzzle stuff was basically completely gone. I loved that they added in some like sound effects for like stone doors and walls opening and stuff.
That was nice.
I was like, stuff like that really enhances the story. And I got to say, I wasn't really that fussed about them changing the Smarties to the new time vortex. Not really. I thought, you know what, it looks good. And I actually quite liked
it. Did look good.
The way that they had repositioned all of the people coming through the sarcophagus so that they were at the proper angle. A simple thing to do, and it really paid off.
And even the way that, like, when Sutekh came down the vortex, he was sort of slightly leaning forward, like he was powering through it. Was nice.
Yeah, they'd really like shifted like the head and stuff to make it look like it was, and they animated it as well. Just a little bit. They animated it, yeah. And just those little things just make you sort of go, oh yeah, okay, this looks just that little bit better.
I think as well in one shot in particular where you first see Sutekh's jackal head.
Yeah.
When the mask sort of disappears.
Yeah.
I think they tweak the colors and the lighting slightly so that it looked a bit darker, because the jackal head doesn't look great.
No.
It only looks good really in that first shot in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And even still, you know, I was sort of telling my friends yesterday, I was like, oh, they've reduxed this episode of Doctor Who and it's like a George Lucas edit, so it's a bit more palatable to watch.
Yeah.
And I sent them the link on iTunes, and I was sort of thinking, if they clicked onto it with the whole idea of it's been George Lucasified and they've done up the effects, and then the first thing they see is the jackal head in the TARDIS, they'll probably go, this is still pretty ropey. But again, it's all relative to your how much classic Doctor Who effects you can take.
Yeah. I mean, I loved another thing that they did was their the 1980 sequence. They altered the effects there, hadn't they? So that when the camera panned, the outside of the TARDIS like parallaxed with the camera, so it all moved like you know it would do if it was real life. So yeah, it was good. I thought they did a nice job with it, and they cut some good stuff. To be honest, I was surprised they didn't cut more of the poacher stuff. I thought more of that was going to go, but
yes,
no, it was.
And I like the fact they kept what's his face, his second death scream. Yeah. I thought that could get cut because it's still pretty frightening.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, they might make edits like that, but it was nice they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good fun. Yeah.
What's next, do you reckon?
Well, I mean, people are saying the War Games is the next one in terms of like the colorizations.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like a Tales of the TARDIS, I don't know. I mean, apparently they kept the set. So they made the set for Empire of Death. And then they were like, oh, what else can we use this for? Let's do some Tales of the TARDIS. So yeah, apparently it still exists in case they want to do more.
I'm sure they'll want to do more with. I mean, they could do more with like modern stories. They don't necessarily need to be cut down. Or if you had a two-parter, you could just jam them together. Like that would be nice to have an omnibus of a modern story.
Yeah.
And I think that would make the whole Tales of the TARDIS and wider Doctor Who universe thing probably more interesting to people of our age, rather than just Doctor Who fans our age or the older Doctor Who fans.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm sure people would be interested if Freema came back and did one, and then it gave them a window into watching a story they remembered from when they were younger or whatever it was. And you could still do updated effects. Like if you did Smith and Jones, you could improve that the drone shot of the hospital that's gone disappeared and all of that stuff. Like I think maybe, you know, if the audience is as low as it is for Doctor Who going out at the moment, how many more people are watching or, you know, the Tales of the TARDIS for the classic series? Like if they want to elevate that as like a long running spin-off, like it would probably be good to do the movie. What if like you know, Grace and the Eighth Doctor had another little snog over a campfire? You know, you could do all of that stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of pardon me. There's lots of there's lots
Doctor
of
Who
opportunities.
Gets you like that sometimes.
It does. It does. Yeah, I think the door's open, and there's certainly lots of opportunities for other stories to get the same treatment. Whether they, like I said, whether they be proper cut downs or just omnibus editions. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good fun. Nice to revisit one of the best.
Yes.
Yeah, and like what we were talking about earlier, but. Hey ho, never mind. What next for the review of Death? I mean, this is the last of our live streams. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in every week or just popped in. It would be lovely
to do some more. I think we could, you know, maybe every now and again we'll pop up and do a live if it's
I think so.
Because we know we can do them with a pretty quick turnaround now. So you know, if anything big happens, you know, we could always jump on. So next up, the next thing we're releasing actually is not on YouTube. It's going to be exclusively on Patreon, and that is a kind of a re-edit of sorts. It's our commentary that we recorded for the Doctor Who TV movie.
Yes.
Back during lockdown.
Yeah.
Actually put to a really lovely, nice. I think it's nearly, or it was 4K when I was editing it. I don't think it's 4K now. A really, really lovely copy of the Doctor Who TV movie. So that's going to come up on Thursday. After that, as I said before, we're going to do Last of the Time Lords Sound of Drums as the kind of what was a good Russell finale. You know, let's cleanse our palate a little bit and remind ourselves what he can really do. I mean, not that you necessarily agree with that, but we'll get there when we.
Well, we were sort of thinking it's 4th of July, isn't it, that it goes out, which is a important political day here in the UK.
Yes.
And obviously
perfect.
That is an important political day in Doctor Who.
It's almost like we plan these things sometimes.
Then Vince
after
Pavey, is Utopia part of that or no? No, we decided not to because Utopia is good.
There's only so much Doctor Who I can watch. Yeah, and then we'll do a wrap up of series 14 as well. So we'll kind of collate our thoughts. We're thinking of doing a tier list of episodes where we think they would be ranked, and we'll have a bit more time to sort of process everything. If any more plot holes arise, or if you know Russell jumps on Instagram and says, well, actually the intention was this, or this was cut, which is why that didn't work, or whatever it is, we can at least sort of mop up the reaction to the series as a whole a little bit more. Maybe by then, although you know you would hope anyway, by the time we come to record it, because this is stuff we're recording to cover Matt being away in Brazil, we'd hope either over that period or before we get to record this that Disney might pop up and say, we'll give you another year or two, because
we'll give you another chance.
We'll give them a chance, because that's obviously been very quiet, and I think you probably would expect if they wanted to do it, they'd do it following a fantastic 8-week run on Disney Plus. We're thrilled to announce that
with all 6 viewers.
With all 6 of you watching it, we're thrilled to announce that we're putting all this money back into the Star Wars spin-offs.
Don't, the fucking Acolytes crap.
Oh no, is it?
Yeah. Oh, we watched the most recent one last night, and it was just like, oh dear, this is another thing, the saddest day.
Dear. Oh dear. So yeah, we've got that coming up sort of, roughly soon, because we've got quite a bit to record to kind of catch up. Also, the next 00 Rod, which is Spectre.
Yes.
That's coming in July.
Yes.
We've got Johnny doing a commentary with Matt, so I'm not involved in that one. So if you want a Johnny commentary, that's the first time that will be.
We mentioned it earlier while you were away, having a
excellent. And the big one, the exciting thing, which will be the first thing we record when Matt comes back, to celebrate however many, 10 years, oh my god, 10 years of the review of Death. We are going to review Death to the Daleks, and that will be at the top of August. We'll be going round to that and reviewing Death to the Daleks for episode 90. Nice round number.
Lovely.
But there's plenty more stuff to come. That's all outlined in a post that's going to go live on the Review of Death Patreon. Give it 20 minutes and I'll go up for you. And I'll pop it up there. So go over there to support the podcast. Thank you all so much for obviously supporting us through these incredible super chats. I mean, it's been nuts.
Yeah.
And it's been really good to do these live streams. They're really good fun.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely find an excuse to get round to doing these more often.
Yeah. What if we do it for our birthday? Happens. Maybe we do it for the birthday one. Maybe we could squeeze it in for Death of the Daleks. It might be fun. We could have a little birthday party.
That's a nice idea. I like that.
Oh yeah, Dalek Seth had the same idea in the chat as well.
Spooky.
There was something I was going to say. It's completely left my brain. And
oh no!
What the feck was that? Oh yes, that was it.
Go on.
Should we? what should we give this out of 10? We didn't do it last week. We didn't give an episode.
No, we didn't do it last week.
I mean, last one I'd say maybe 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But now...
What, last week's?
Yeah, I liked it. You didn't like it so much, but I liked it.
No,
I mean, now I don't like any of them.
No, it does all feel a little bit deflating after the reveals. I would say maybe like I don't want to hate on it too much because life's too short. We can be grumpy about Doctor Who here, but I don't want to take that into real life. So I will say it's like a 4 for me.
I mean, I was going to be generous and give it a 5.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe a 4. Yeah. Draw with Cameron Smith asks, will we review the Celestial Toymaker animation?
Yeah, we could do. Yes, I should be able to watch it out here, but obviously, through legal means. Yeah. Man, I don't know. Yes, I think we should do that because it was. Everybody seems to either really really like it or be Ian Levine.
Yeah. Yes. Whose cousin is in the chat right now.
Apparently so.
I've been following it. Yeah. Which is quite amazing. Yeah, well that's it from us. That was Doctor Who Series 1/Series 14. No, Season 1. Season 1/Series 14 /Season 40, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Let us know what you think. Thank you all for joining us. As Billy said, thank you to everyone who supported us for the last 7 weeks. Coming to watch us and super chats and liking and subscribing. It helps us so much. So if you did enjoy it, like it, share it.
Yes.
Yeah, all those wonderful things. And we will see you all next time for what is the next one? I forgot after you said all that. What is it? What are we doing?
Sound of Drums.
Sound of Drums. Lords. So yes, here come the drums. Here come the drums, baby. You are my voodoo child. My voodoo child.
Like Creed, then. Yeah. And then Thursday next week, Doctor Who the TV movie commentary on the Patreon. So go and check it out.
Go and check it out, everybody. Well, everyone, have a nice evening or morning or wherever you are. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you.